Okay. So first off, thank you so much for registering for this session. I'm sorry that we're getting started a little bit late. Like I had said, we had only begun with a couple of registrants, so I'm excited to see that we have 6 of us on board here, and hopefully some other people will trickle in as we continue. So just to get a feel of the audience here, and I'm going to unmute all of you, and you can kind of just share as you want. How many of you are your academic chair or on executive board, or maybe if you just want to say why you're on this session, that would be awesome. So I'm going to unmute you all really quickly. And whoever wants to start. If you want to say, can you say your name and your chapter first?
Hello, I'm Matthew Washburn. I'm here with Penn State Barron Chapter of Triangle. I'm here with 2 other brothers, 2 for the executive board, and 1's a general member.
Awesome. So Matt, what position do you hold?
I'm the vice president of membership.
Perfect. And hello to the other brothers that are joining you.
I'm Tyler. The vice president of administration.
Do we have any academic chairs on the call? Okay, I'm going to go back and mute everybody, and then we will get started. Okay, so Academic U, just to give you some background, was a program that initiated from Melissa and John Gargani, and John Gargani is a brother from the Pitt chapter, and they felt very passionately about ensuring that our chapters and colonies and our members were succeeding academically. We would assume or hope, especially if we're an organization that kind of markets ourselves and sells ourselves on our academic pursuits and our commitment to scholarship, that we would have high GPAs. But 2 years ago when I started, actually Triangle's average was pretty low, and most of our chapters and colonies were actually falling below the IFC average. So after conversations with Melissa and John, they wanted to support our academic pursuits, so they actually granted the foundation money to create this program. Last year we offered it on site and at our regional leadership conferences, and then this year we wanted to make it more readily available to all of our chapter members, so that's why we're offering it online, and then we're also offering it to chapters and colonies on site during the consultation visit. So should this be something that you feel your whole chapter should want, then that's something that we can bring to you of no charge because it is granted by Melissa and John. The program is broken up into 4 different sessions. The first one, which is what we're going to do today, is really going to talk about how to utilize academics in the recruitment process. I know a lot of you may be wrapping up your recruitment or may already be done with it, but these are still good things to think about, because we're also going to talk about what are our academic standards that are in place, what are we looking for in the men that we're joining, and what happens when we find that really great brother, but he may be a dud in the classroom. What's the line that we should kind of teeter on to hold them accountable but also support them? So that's going to be our first session today. This is actually the quickest of the 4 sessions, which will be good for you all since we did start a little bit late. The second session, which is going to be next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, is really going to focus on creating an academic program. And when I say academic program, I mean something that balances how are we holding our members accountable that aren't meeting our requirements, how are we, or what are the incentives that we are providing to our members that are working hard and that are committed to academics? Are we doing academic programming for our members? Are we engaging with faculty and staff members on campus? So it's really the all-inclusive programs or processes that we have in place that focus on academics. And this is actually something that we look for all of you to submit through the pyramid. So this will be good that we're actually going to go over what we're looking for in an ideal academic plan. And you'll also all be provided with samples and resources after we're done. The third session is really just focusing all about accountability. It's called Going Beyond Study Tables, and the reason for that is a lot of chapters and colonies, not just in Triangle, but I worked on a campus for 7 years prior to coming to Triangle. We see that when we ask them, so what are you doing to hold your members accountable or to support them? And we automatically go to the, well, if you fall below a 2.7, you're required 4 study hours a week. If you're below a 2.0, you're required 10 study hours a week. We just rely on this kind of lazy way to support our members. And there's really a ton of different resources and examples to help your members improve their academics. So we're going to talk through that on the third one. And then the fourth one is also a pretty quick session. It's really talking about what programming can we offer all levels of membership to support them academically, because we usually find ourselves just relying on this is how you build a resume, or this is how you interview, and that might not be appropriate for our newly initiated freshman members. So how can we offer thoughtful and meaningful programs for our different styles of learners and where they're at in their life in college? So that was a quick and dirty overview of the 4 sessions. So with that, we will get started. And like I said, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, or we will reconnect at the end and we can talk through any questions that you may have. There are going to be some slides on here that are interactive and questions. I'm not going to unmute all of us just for the sake of time, but I am going to give you a couple seconds to kind of ponder it and think through them. Okay, so the first thing I want you to think about is, what are you currently doing to promote the purpose of Triangle Fraternity? Like I said at the beginning, obviously academics is something we pride ourselves on. We're a social organization, but cater towards a specific academic course load for our members. So how are you using that to promote it? While I think sometimes we feel a little bit limited because it limits our ability to recruit certain people, it's actually a really great positive for our organization and something that we should be using to market ourselves and set us out from like the Pikes or the SAEs or the SIGEPs. So I want you to think about, what are we currently doing to promote the purpose of the organization? For those of you who might not be familiar with the purpose of Triangle, it's to foster and provide an intellectual and mature environment for its members through the mutual companionship of men with similar professional interests and goals. So this should be something that's at the heart of everything that we're doing, especially recruitment. That might just sound like a bunch of words, so we want to figure out what are the ways that we can really make that live and in action for the people that we're recruiting. Okay, so ways to sell academics during the recruitment process and not make it overwhelming or boring. Hopefully some of you are already doing some of these things, but if not, these are things to think about. And like I said, don't worry about like taking notes or writing all this down. It is recording and I will be posting this after our session. So a good way to sell academics is obviously handing out handouts to potential new members and families. So if you are a group that tables, or you have different events that your campus hosts and you have the opportunity to hand out flyers, make sure your flyers don't just say like Rush Triangle. Like, you really want these men to walk away and know before they even come to a recruitment event, these are the things that Triangle stands for. This is what the organization's about. And then that way they can share that information with their family members. So on these handouts, make sure you include like, what is your academic program and your standards? What are some active and alumni accomplishments? So like, we have the Wall of Fame here in the headquarters. I always say that's something that's really cool that a chapter can do to highlight your maybe recent alumni that have gotten really awesome jobs or have done some really cool things in their field. GPA statistics and recognition, involvement of members in academic-based events and programs. So if you have a president that's in charge of the Society of Auto Engineers, that's something that would be really cool to post on a flyer. Highlight active and alumni accomplishments. Make sure you're using your website to post these things. I know we're kind of the generation that's moving away from print media, but some people still do read the school newspaper, so that could be something that's really cool that you publish in there. And then creating a partnership with the Offices of Admissions. Admissions want to know what their graduates are doing so that they can use it as a selling point. So if you know of an alumnus who has done something really awesome in their field, just got a really great promotion, that's something that you can share with the admissions office and ask them to share that they're a member of Triangle. Another way to sell academics is supporting campus departments and events. So finding opportunities to maybe co-host or sponsor a career fair for your engineering department, getting involved at admissions fairs. In my role, when I worked on campuses, we actually looked for student volunteers to share their stories or to maybe just help with meet and greets. And we did let them wear either like their name tag or their fraternity or sorority shirt. And so that's just a really great way to get in front of potential students before the rest of the groups do. And then making sure that you're encouraging your members to serve as peer mentors or tutors or TAs is another way to not only get out there in front of people that are committed to academics, but you know, that's really great to highlight when you're talking with potential new members and students. So these are just some different ways that I think we're not probably fully utilizing our recruitment potential, and not just Triangle, but a number of fraternities and sororities that, you know, we should be sending a personal welcome to incoming students. Some of your campuses may have restrictions on this, but you won't know until you ask. So reaching out to your Greek director or your director of student activities and asking if you can get a copy of all of the incoming male students or all of the male students that aren't affiliated with a fraternity. You could also reach out to the dean of the engineering or your sciences or architecture departments and ask to get a listing of emails of the individuals in those majors. Sometimes they will say no, but if you draft us the email, we will send it to everybody. You just need to have those conversations so you can identify what are ways to send a personalized welcome. Because all of our fraternities are posting flyers and posting things on Instagram and Facebook and tabling. What are the things that we can do that give that special extra little touch? Creating a scholarship for incoming STEAM students is another really great opportunity. I know some of our chapters are currently doing this. You know, a national organization that does a remarkable job at this is Sigma Phi Epsilon, and they do the Balanced Man Scholarship. And the chapters that I've worked with that I've seen be successful is they partner with the different colleges or with their student affairs office and reach out to incoming freshmen before they even step foot onto campus and give them the notification that we're doing this scholarship, have people apply, and then on family weekend, which was like 3 weeks into the semester, or you can even do it on welcome weekend, they held a little banquet where all of the applicants and all of their family members got to come, and then they awarded the scholarship recipients. Not everybody that applied for the scholarship ended up joining, but it did really improve their recruitment numbers. So this could be something really cool that you do for a specific academic department. Developing a referral system. So I talk about this a lot when we're doing recruitment training, but this is just a way to educate people that aren't affiliated with Triangle on what you're looking for. So not everybody knows right away that Triangle only accepts men majoring in engineering, architecture, and science. So make sure that people are getting used to that and know that that's the mission and the objectives of the organization. Also thinking about what your specific chapter is looking for. So do you want men that are leaders in organizations? Do you only want men that have a 2.75 or above? Like, what are those standards? And find a creative and quick way to educate faculty, staff, sorority women, other fraternity men on it, so that should they find somebody that they think fits what the Triangle man is, they can refer them to you. Sometimes our best recruiters are people that are not members of the organization. Take advantage of student organizations. This is one of the reasons that we really encourage chapters to make sure all of their members are involved in 2 other co-curriculars. It's not just so that they can get a well-rounded experience, but it's also a way to meet people that aren't in Triangle. So being thoughtful and strategic about the organizations that they're joining. Sometimes we just kind of like to go with what's comfortable, and so 10 of our guys will all join the same organization. Really kind of pull out like what are the different places that we can find some really strong guys academically and kind of place your men in those organizations. Okay, so now I want to talk about like how or where do we find these smart guys, and this is more of, I would say, probably looking for your upperclassmen or your second semester freshmen. I know that sometimes this can be a little bit more difficult when we're recruiting first semester freshmen and we don't know what their abilities are going to be with handling the college academic rigor. But kind of what I talked about before, recruiting from similar clubs and organizations. This can be your best friend. You know that they want to be involved. You know that they're committed. And so either joining an organization and recruiting from that, or reaching out to organization presidents and asking them, hi, can we come in and talk about Triangle and the men that we're looking for? Building relationships with classmates, this is pretty easy, but I know, like personally, once I joined my sorority and joined the Panhellenic community, I just communicated or really talked to people that were kind of in that bubble, and that can hurt you recruitment-wise. So making sure that you're reaching out to people that you don't know. This is a tough one, but recruitment is a chapter-wide effort, so making sure your upperclassmen are involved in the process. I think sometimes we think only freshmen or sophomores can join, but the fraternity experience is for life, and obviously if you're a senior and you're still in school, then you're doing okay. So our upperclassmen really have a good opportunity to maybe connect with some people and bring them into the organization. See if you can use Dean's List and President's List. Some universities publish this, some don't, but you can still ask for it, and you can see who are on those lists and reach out to them. And then pay attention to scholarship winners or names in a newspaper or website. And you can reach out to them and see if the fraternity experience is something that they would be interested in. So like I said, that is going to help you more with your students that are already established on the college campus, but what about freshmen? I know a lot of our chapters and colonies are able to recruit those first semester freshmen. So how do we identify that they are going to be committed to academics? Some of you, I know, do not initiate until you get their first semester grades, but some campuses are moving to a place now that they require you to initiate your members under 12 weeks. So how do we ensure that they are going to remain committed to being successful? Creating that scholarship for incoming STEAM students is a way. If you really put some thoughtful and intentional questions on there, not just asking them what their GPA was from high school, but like what were the things that they were involved in, how did they manage their time, maybe what were the struggles that they had to work through. Like, think about interview questions, because that's what this process should be like. And that's also things that you should be asking in the recruitment process. So not just asking them what their major is or what they want to do when they graduate, but really kind of getting to the heart of, okay, so you have a test on Thursday, talk to me about your process and preparing for that test. What are your study habits? How do you plan to get connected and get academic support on campus? Like, those are the intentional things we need to be asking. Only invite freshmen that have a 3.0 high school GPA. I know that the high school and college are two totally different ball games, but this could still be something that kind of helps you maybe weed out some of the people that struggled at first. Host intentional recruitment events that highlight Triangle's academics. I'm not telling you that you need to like just hold a study session and that's your recruitment event, but make sure that it's a topic of conversation and that you are at least making it known that it is a priority to your members. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay, hearing none. Going to keep going. So I kind of touched on this a couple of minutes ago, but it's really all in your conversations and making sure that you're asking deeper, open-ended questions and not just the normal what's your major and what do you want to do, but really asking them why, so that they're not just giving you like cookie cutter responses. Like if you think about an interview for a job, they want you to paint a picture, they want you to tell a story so that they can get a good idea of who you are and what you value. And that's what we need to be doing with our potential new members. Asking them about lessons learned. It's okay to ask them about things that they've struggled with or things that they're concerned about for college, but as long as they have a game plan in place, that should show you that they are also thoughtful and they're thinking about all the different possibilities. And make sure you're balancing the interviewing or the conversations with providing information and learning things about them. So if someone expresses concerns about time management or something about their study habits, that's a good way for you to explain the procedures that you have in place as a chapter. So, you know, we make sure that all of our men, I'm trying to think, that they don't skip class on Friday, or that they are putting in certain hours with a tutor. If we see that they're dropping with their midterm grades, and we set them up with academic resources on campus. So whatever the structures are that you have in place for your chapter, make sure that you can easily communicate that to potential new members. One thing that you need to make sure that you have in place, established, and all of your members are aware of are what are your standards. Because that way then you can be very transparent in the recruitment process and everybody knows, like, okay, so when I sign that bid, these are the things that I need to make sure that I'm holding myself to when I become a new member of the organization. Your standards should include what your standards are for active membership, so in order to remain in good standing, but then you should also have standards on there, like you cannot receive a bid from our chapter unless you do XYZ. I really encourage chapters to not only create this and share this with members, but it's something that's really good to hand out at events and to post on your website. Like I said, the standard should be created and agreed upon within the entire chapter. It shouldn't just be something that the academic chair or the executive board creates. You want to make sure that all of your members are bought into this. Make sure that your standards align with your values or code of conduct. So don't just add random things in there. Make sure it all makes sense and ties back to the mission and your objectives as an organization. Be very detailed in your requirements. So first semester freshmen, like, we are not going to give you a bid unless you have a 3.0 GPA from high school or you got an 1800 on your SATs. This is not things that we as a national organization are telling you to put in place. These are just examples. If you do have an established GPA, then we want you to be above the all men's average. We want you to value academics and studying, and that's more of a objective question where you're just going to have conversations with them and figure out if they meet that standard. You want to create a tiered system, which we're going to talk about in weeks 2 and 3, and that's where, like, at a 3.0, these are the things that you have to do academically. If you're below a 3.0, then maybe you lose a couple responsibilities or privileges as a chapter member, but then you also have to do a little extra work to show us that you're committed. You want to lay that out to them so that they know what those tiers are in advance. Make sure you're including national and governing council requirements. We require any member that's going to be initiated to have a 2.7. Some campuses require higher, so that's something you're going to want to check with your Greek Life office or IFC. And then you want to make sure you're consistent with active standards. Sometimes we see our chapters put these ridiculous standards in place for new members, like they have to do 15-hour study hours a week, but then as soon as you're initiated, you don't. And you have to think about the message that that's sending. Is it saying that then once you're initiated that we're not committed to academics? So I understand that sometimes we need to put more in place or more structure, offer more support to our new members because they're undergoing that transition into college. but you never want to make them jump through additional hoops or to paint a picture that academics aren't as important once you're initiated. So just kind of going back to this marketing and thinking outside of the box with how we can really sell academics, make sure that you are incorporating that in your conversations, maybe in your marketing. You just want to paint a picture that looks professional. Luckily, Triangle probably won't be too affected by this, but if you haven't noticed, we're going to start entering this trend in higher education where enrollment is actually going to level off and then eventually start to decrease a little. And this generation of students that are going to be entering into college this year and over the next 3 years are really going to be looking for, what can this organization do for me? And maybe one of those things is provide brotherhood and the social aspect. But some people really do want to know, even as a freshman, is how is this going to help me get a job after I graduate? How is it going to help me get connected? So making sure that you are being transparent and marketing that and selling that aspect is something that I think can really set us apart from other fraternities and student organizations on campus. So that was a lot of information in 20 minutes. Overall, what I really just wanted us to start getting our minds around is that, academics doesn't just start with recruitment and end, or it doesn't just start with once you're initiated. One of the founding principles of all fraternities is this commitment to academics and commitment to scholarship and committing to be better. And so we want to make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success and recruiting people that are already committed to it. Yes, a fraternity should inevitably make you a better man and help make you better than you were before you joined, but we don't want to just be recruiting duds because we think they're cool, because that's going to hurt our GPAs. So making sure that you're very thoughtful in the recruitment process and finding those men that are going to also make your organization better. I would say that I know there are going to be times where you might find somebody that's kind of teetering on that academic line, like they might not meet your standards. So as a chapter, you really need to have that conversation of, do we make exceptions, or is this the rule? They have to have a 2.8, and if they don't, then we can't offer them a bid. And then what can we do to maybe still support them even if they're not a new member, so that they can get their GPA up and then join us the following semester. So again, just the foundation, the first starting point. Next week, we're going to really talk about creating an academic program that's going to help your members and to make sure that we have standards in place so that we're being proactive about the academic process. Are there questions about anything we discussed today, or things that you think wouldn't work, or maybe things that you feel your chapter or colony is currently doing that sells academics successfully during the recruitment process? Remember, if you want to add to the conversation, just hit the little hand icon and I will take you off of mute. Ben, take it away, my friend.
Let's see, I'm just wondering, we had an idea a little bit last semester of maybe doing an event with, the College of Engineering faculty. I think that might be a good idea to recruit academically, because we weren't able to all agree on it.
So I'll give my personal opinion, and then maybe some of your brothers want to share. But I think that is a great opportunity, because then you don't have to put yourselves through the fact of, like, are they eligible or aren't they eligible as far as majors are concerned. And I think it not only connects you to faculty and shows them what Triangle's about so that they can give you referrals in the future, but I mean, you have this like wide pool right there. So I think it's a good idea. I don't know if anybody else wants to add to the conversation.
Oh no, that's all I had on that one.
Anybody else? Questions or ideas? Okay, so what I'm going to do from here is, like I said, probably tomorrow I will upload this to our YouTube channel, and you can encourage any of your other members to view this if you want. We are trying to hit our goal of hitting 13,000 programming hours, and for every full hit on one of these videos, that will count as time towards that programming goal. Also, this is a requirement of the pyramid that each chapter has somebody that has participated in Academic U, and that means all 4 sessions. So if you want to, and it counts as participating in online programming. So if your members want to watch this on YouTube, they can submit to me just like a screenshot that they watched it or something. But then I'm also going to be following up at the end of the 4 sessions with some questions and kind of like a survey, and that will also help me identify who participated in the training. Next week, next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be offering our second session. That one will be a little bit longer, but it will be under an hour. So please make sure you register for that one or encourage your chapter members to. I will send out a link via email and put that on social media for you all. So if there aren't any questions, then that will conclude our first session of Academic U. Thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great weekend.